Yeah, we're, of course, now hearing from President Trump, who said he's been in touch with law enforcement officials and that he also is trying to get to the bottom of just what happened here and, of course, expressing his condolences to those killed. I mean, one of the people killed yesterday, Wesley LePatner, happens to be a rising star in this industry, as you know, Tom, leading the REIT, the real estate investment fund for wealthy individuals at Blackstone. But it's not just that work she was doing. When you talk about a person who's on the board of the Met, the UJA, Schechter School, this is a person who dedicated their life to helping others, and imagine she's leaving work yesterday and becomes one of those victims. Another thing we learned about the suspect is that he did have a criminal history, right? We learned yesterday from the mayor that this was a young man who had some mental illness, but we know he was arrested for trespassing in 2012, seems to have then led a clean life, but then in 2023 in Nevada is charged with throwing a substance at a vehicle with intent to cause bodily injury. How that leads him to here yesterday is unclear, but he said in a note found on his person that he believed he had CTE. He believed that the NFL did not do enough to address the effects of CTE, and he named an NFL player who took his own life in much the same way, minus the shooting, took his own life, and his brain was studied for CTE. So that is where we are this morning. But this is a story about much more than that, as you've been saying.
Myles, with all of your experience, I really can't say enough, folks, about some people talk, others do, like Myles Miller, who's been reporting since he was 17 years old in New York. Myles, how will this change security for American Wall Street, and particularly for the center tendency of New York City's Park Avenue?
Well, Tom, you know I was in Bermuda just a few weeks ago, and if you remember, I was there with the Secret Service. Just about 2 days ago, a good friend of mine who led that delegation left to go to BNY Mellon, formerly the Bank of New York. He's now the head of corporate security. This has got him thinking, how are we going to keep our executives safe? How are we going to keep our physical footprint here safe? It's on the minds of so many security executives. You know, so many of my good friends leave law enforcement and go work in this corporate security world. Chief security officer, friend of mine running security for the Empire State Building. He's got to think about how to keep this footprint safe. I was walking around the neighborhood. If you go around this building, there's so many ways to get in and out. And now they've got to be thinking, what are the ways we fortify our offices in a way that we can ensure that everyone is safe? You know?
Myles, when do we plan to hear from city officials, NYPD officials today?
Yeah, so we heard from the mayor, and he's going to be giving the official accounting of what happened. And he's been doing a really stand-up job of telling us exactly what was in the letter and, you know, what he learned and that kind of thing. And that's been great to see that in some interviews. We have not heard about any updated briefings from the police commissioner, but we do know that when they do the dignified transfer, we may hear from her, because the officer who was shot and killed, his body is at the morgue right now, and they'll do that cause and origin. And so we usually hear from some police officials there. What we do know is that we're expecting to get some more information in just about 15 minutes time from the NYPD, just about the investigation, the top lines of it. You know, we already have that information that we first reported about the note, but we want to get more information about the suspect and what they may have found in the car and that kind of thing as well. But what I'll tell you is that this suspect is a former security guard in Nevada, worked at the Lake Las Vegas resort back in 2020, and had won a lot of money gambling. You may think, how did this guy get here with this BMW that he parked in the middle of Park Avenue? How did he get here with this M4? And he definitely had the means to do all that he did.